Hey everybody, it's Professor Malat with the Week 10 overview. Things are really heating up for us, both literally and figuratively. So, this week we are going to be learning a little bit more about argumentative writing. You aren't writing a full fledged argument. So, with full fledged arguments, typically we have claims that you make, and then you address the counter argument or counterclaims, the opposite side of the position that you're taking. I'm not being super picky since this is just an introduction to argumentative writing, and you'll learn more how to do that with your researched argument when you get into English 1001. So, this is just an introduction to help you get used to researching and arguing a position that you hold. So, remember that you're answering the question, does technology make us happier? Now, it doesn't have to be that exact question. It can be, does social media make us happier? Do video games make us happier? Whatever aspect of technology. Of course, you're welcome to take a broad view of technology in general. And I think sometimes when you take that broad view, a lot of students have a difficult time actually asserting some kind of position that yes, technology makes us happier, or no, it doesn't. So if you narrow the scope a little bit to focus on a particular aspect of technology, that's perfectly acceptable if you're struggling to figure out whether you have a yes or no position. So hopefully the articles that you've read in weeks 8 and 9 have helped you figure things out a little bit and maybe have narrowed things down for you a little bit. So because it's a researched argument, you need to know how to properly cite your sources in your writing so that you aren't caught accidentally plagiarizing. Remember, plagiarism is a huge deal. We don't take it lightly, especially in academic circles. So, plagiarism isn't just borrowing the words and ideas of other people, but also it extends to artificial intelligence, right? Anything that's generated by AI can be considered something that is not your own, right? You didn't generate it yourself. You may have put in a great prompt and it may have spit out something that can be helpful to you. But when you use that as your own writing and you don't provide any kind of credit to that generative AI, that's where you start to get into the sticky territory of plagiarism and AI, generative AI use. So, my usual recommendation is if you're stuck within the drafting process, yes, you can use AI as a tool to either provide an example, maybe help you with an outline to get your thoughts in line. But when it comes to the actual writing, I care more about what you think, what your ideas are. I'm not impressed with how well you can play the game, but I really want you to start thinking critically about these sources that I've provided for you. So there's an attribution of sources lecture that you'll be watching so you can understand how to best integrate source material with your own writing. Again, it's not playing the game of how many sources can I quote within 4 or 5 pages, but really which quotes can I use best to help support my own original ideas. That's the whole point of using sources. So that is what logos and ethos, right? In your own writing, it makes you look better, right? When you use quality sources, but you don't use them so much that it takes over your own writing, right? So there's a balance there, learning how to use a source, but not so much of a source that it's no longer all of your own writing. Hopefully that makes sense. So the attribution of sources lecture will cover things like quoting, paraphrasing, summarizing, as well as some of the MLA citation. I also have a Canvas page that gives you a list of resources and videos that tells you a little bit more about the MLA Works Cited page. I will go over that in a moment. Um, and then remember, it's just an introduction to argumentative writing using research. You're not going to get it perfect. Those of you who do get it perfect probably didn't need to take this course, or perhaps you've done really well with learning things and you're really ready for English 1001. If that's the case, that's fantastic because you won't struggle when you get to the next level of the English comp series. So it's good to have some kind of foundation for research and argumentation prior to that course. That's why I do this assignment. I know there are a lot of people who have taught this class previously who don't think students need to be exposed to research or really do a very, very light version of research. But I think you're all up to the task. You have done such great work so far, so keep up the great work and don't stress too much about it. I don't expect you to get perfect, but just try the best that you can. So the objectives this week, you're going to take a position on the question of technology and happiness. You'll implement or learn how to implement correct MLA citation and formatting. You'll make use of a style guide. This is a link to the Purdue OWL. No, it's not. It's actually to a new book, Introductory Composition. It's a pocket style guide. It's very handy as a reference for formatting and mechanics. So if you have grammar questions, punctuation questions, that kind of stuff, you can look in there and hopefully get your question answered. You'll also be composing the rough draft of the research argument essay. So let's take a look at the readings. This week, we are focusing on the use of quotation marks, when to use quotation marks in titles. Those 2 pages from Grammarly relate to actually citing your sources, right? Using in-text citations, quoting from others. So it's good to know how to use those quotation marks correctly, both when you're quoting somebody, but also in your works cited page. From the writer's practice, there is the resource Using Sources, just a couple of short pages that John Warner addresses the use of sources, why we use them, why it's important, so on and so forth. I also have a PDF called How to Write a Researched Argument if you really are confused about how to go about it. So this just takes you through the steps: brainstorming, free writing. You can look at online database for topics and information. Of course, I've already provided a topic for you, so half of that is irrelevant. Narrowing your topic. As I said before, you can veer off a little bit from that. Does technology make us happier? General question, you can focus in and narrow it a little bit more. Create your thesis statement. Determine the assumption behind your claim. Again, we're not really worried too much about counter arguments for this level of our class, but write down your supporting details, find data or evidence to help support your claims, to boost up your claims, find quotes, activate pathos, that's really best for your conclusion. Make topic sentences for body paragraphs, think of an order for presenting information. Again, this is where AI can be really helpful if you're not sure how to organize the information within your essay. You can ask AI to help generate an outline for your topic. Think about your outline, write an outline, so on and so forth. So hopefully that's helpful for some of you. We're not in week 11. I don't know why it took us to week 11, but we're in week 10. Okay, and then that Canvas page, more about the works cited that I discussed in my introduction. So we have the Purdue OWL works cited page. This link will take you to the basic rules for how to do a works cited page. They have sample works cited page, but it doesn't actually look, I mean, I guess it sort of looks like it, but you can also go to the sample paper page, which I have pulled up here. And the last 2 pages are a works cited list. But this will show you how to actually format your works cited page. Remember, the works cited page starts on a completely new page. It will also have your last name and page number, and then it has a title at the top of the page. Just like with your essay, you have an essay title, but then your works cited page also has a title. It is centered. But then when you start with your works cited listings, you've got to make sure that your page is once again left justified. Otherwise, everything will be centered on the page and it'll look kind of weird. So this shows you what it looks like. It also explains the various things that you need to include or not include in your works cited list. So that's helpful for formatting. Again, that is the MLA sample paper link that you can find on the MLA sample works cited page. Then we have a link to Citation Machine. Citation Machine is a really cool tool, and you'll probably use this more in English 1001 and any other course that you have to use citation if you're doing research and you have to cite something. This one takes you to the MLA format, but you can plug in a website. Let's see. And it will help you to create a citation. So here's one for the UC Claremont website. And if you click on continue, there's a lot of pop-up ads. Sorry for that. But if you, it walks you through the steps of how you would do a citation. And then you would click on complete citation. I'm not going to do that because chances are I will get a pop-up advertisement that I am forced to sit through for about 30 seconds. But once you sit through that advertisement, then it will open up a page where you will have the properly formatted citation. There's also a video on how to use the citation generator that I have done, a video about MLA citation, and then of course we also have MLA formatting tips in Microsoft Word and Google Docs. We have some links to the MLA style guide online and an interactive practice template if you want to play around with it. Again, those are just resources for you. You're not required to use them, but you are required to have a works cited page. And then down at the bottom, we have some reminders for what the formatting for a works cited page should have. It's a separate part of the academic essay. It begins on a new page, is formatted with the same font, spacing, margins as the rest of your essay. You can read through the rest of this stuff. I'm not going to completely read through it. You're all intelligent human beings capable of reading, so it's not necessary for me to do that. So the videos this week, again, we have the week 10 overview, the essay 3 research argument assignment explanation is also embedded on the assignment page, so you'll see that when we go in to talk about the assignments. The attribution of sources lecture, I know it is super long, but it is an important amount of information, how to use sources. I really should update this because it is super long. And then Grammarly has a video on quotation marks, the 6 main use cases to know, which will help prepare you for the grammar quiz. If you have time, there are videos in the argumentative writing Canvas page. So I do, I didn't open that before. There are 2 very helpful videos with my notes below on argumentative writing. These are helpful videos from Crash Course to help get your mind, wrap your mind around arguments, how to evaluate them, and the various features that arguments have. So I have them here also, but it's recommended but not required viewing. Grammar quiz number 9, again, is dealing with quotation marks. And then we have essay number 3, the research essay rough draft. Now, just because the rough draft is worth 0 points does not mean you cannot do it. I've said this time and again with all of the previous rough drafts, you need to submit a rough draft because it will be peer reviewed. But it also provides me an opportunity to give you some feedback and guidance if I feel that you're going off in a completely incorrect direction. So the rough draft is very helpful. And the feedback that I provide can be very helpful for you to present the best argument you possibly can. So, as I said before, um, there is a video that explains this rough draft assignment in greater detail. So, I'm not going to go through it in this video because there is a separate video. It explains everything here that you would need to read through. I do want to talk about the resources for Does Technology Make Us Happier handout. Now, again, this handout, it looks like a works cited page, except it says resources for Does Technology Make Us Happier. So if you're struggling to find sources to help you, this is a good resource to go through. And when you go to do your works cited page, they're already formatted correctly in MLA format. So if you decide that you want to use Chicky Davis's 4 Ways Technology Can Make You Happier, then you simply, whoops, sorry about that. You simply will copy and paste. It's easier to do that if you actually download the document and not try to copy and paste from the viewer. So all of the 4 foundational articles are included in these resources, but there are also optional resources that have been vetted, so to speak. They come from previous research that students have done, both in this class, 099 and 1001. And some of those are articles that come across, every once in a while. New York Times, I get New York Times newsletter delivered to me, and sometimes I'll find an interesting article that's relating to the general topic of technology and happiness. So that's where a lot of those resources have come from. So make sure that you watch the video on the essay number 3, research essay rough draft assignment, so that you totally understand what the goal of the assignment is, what sorts of things I'm looking for in that assignment. If you don't watch that video, you might be a little bit confused. So it's important to watch that video that's embedded in the link. As usual, the assignments are due on Sunday by the end of the day, 11:59 p.m. That is July 14th. Have to look at the calendar. Yeah, they'll be due July 14th. And if you have any questions, if you're confused about anything, please do not hesitate to email me. That's why I'm here. I like to be present in my courses, both through the videos, but also you can email me either through the Canvas inbox or your UC email address. And I usually will answer emails promptly, unless I am like out of in a dead zone at a baseball tournament somewhere. That would be the only reason I wouldn't get to you as quickly as I could. I do prefer to respond to students, especially if they have a specific question that I really need to be on my computer instead of trying to go through the Canvas app to figure out what they need. And that way, if I need to attach a document or something, I can do that from my computer. But generally, if it's just a quick question or, hey, I need an extension, I will respond to it very quickly. So again, if you need a little extra time, please just give me a heads up. If you're not going to get it done by Sunday, it's fine to have an extra day or two, but please contact me so I can know to look for it. And that way, when it arrives, when you've submitted it, I can go in and do feedback as soon as possible. Because, Monday through Wednesday typically are not busy for me, but then once Thursday rolls around, and throughout the weekend, I am traveling, usually within the Cincinnati area, but usually I'm busy traveling with my son to his baseball games. So it's a crazy time of year. I'm ready for August. and for the summer season to be over, even though it's been very enjoyable so far. So yeah, um, hang in there. We are almost done. We are, coming down that big steep hill. It may feel like it's gonna, ooh, trying to keep up with everything and not get overwhelmed. But don't stress too much about the rough draft. At least get something done. Make sure that it is your own original writing, um, and we'll work from there. Okay. Take care, everybody. Have a fantastic week.